the way that the demographics in the first congressional district, I mean, we could lose this race down there if we don't pick the right person tonight.
Yeah, and have lost it.
Lost it
in recent times. So
that's
an important one. Yes,
shades of Joe Cunningham in the water. Remember that in the water he's
kneeling. He was kneeling in the water. By the way, it was not swimming. So how much time we got there, JJ? We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. All right, we'll be right back. Election results. This is the runoff roundtable on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Listening to the South Carolina Runoff Roundtable, powered by Gosling Electrical Service, committed to serving our community on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Live from the Foundry in Greenville, this is live coverage of South Carolina's primary night ballot bash, powered by Gosling Electrical Services, with special thanks to the 4th District Republican Club on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
And we continue this special election night coverage, the South Carolina Runoff Roundtable, brought to you by Gosling Electrical Service. My friend Charlie James and Dr. Orrin Smith with us as we see some of the initial returns starting to come in. Guys, where are we now?
Well, one of the races that I've been really interested in has been this Attorney General's race because, the real talk at the beginning was David Pasco when he came in. Democrat, lifelong Democrat, comes in, says he's a Republican. Now he wants to run his Attorney General. And that's when I think a lot of people started saying, hey, let's really pay attention to that race. But then when Stephen Goldfinch jumped into this and everybody was like, whoa, wait a minute, where did he come from? What's his deal? So this is right now it's Goldfinch has a little over 40%. Stumbo has 59%, Where do you see this race going tonight? What do you think people are looking for in an attorney general?
Well, if you look at the initial returns, a lot of it is geographic right now. I mean,
Yeah.
you see David Stumbo doing real well in the upstate. The counties that Senator Goldfinch is winning presently are those in the lower part of the state. His
Right.
Senate district down in the Grand Strand area.
Yeah.
So, like Georgetown, he's taken a pretty good lead there with 66%. Florence County, 63%. But you got Stumbo doing well in Charleston. So
yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the things. I mean, and Dr. Smith, when you look at South Carolina, you think we're all South Carolinians, but we are really different throughout the state, aren't we?
Yeah, one of my old political science professors referred to it as the Greer-Goose Creek Irmo axis that runs down the middle of the state.
And Greer is a pivotal part of that axis.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
absolutely. The Berlin of South Carolina is split between two counties. People are looking for different things depending on where you're from. I think it's always better to be from the upstate, and Pamela Evett convinced a lot of folks that she was from the upstate, but a lot of people in Horry County thought that she was a Myrtle Beach resident as well, which was helpful to her. I think as far as Attorney General, we continue to hear about crime rates. Stumbo emphasized that he was a prosecutor. I mean, technically, Goldfinch had been a military prosecutor,
Right.
but once you had once one of the prosecutors was out, then you had a prosecutor versus a military lawyer senator. I think that probably was helpful to Stumbo, and being from farther northwest in the state, I think will be helpful to
Did
Stumbo.
it surprise you that Pasco came in third in that race?
I just think being a card-carrying Democrat so recently was just not going to fly.
It's too much.
in the South Carolina Republican Party.
Yeah, I think people saw right through that, and I got to give him credit. He did a good job of trying to convince people that he was ready that the Democrat Party had just left him, and he didn't have a choice but to come over to the Republicans, and he'd be the same prosecutor that he'd been all these years, and he'd clean up Columbia. But I don't think people could get past the idea that he was a Democrat.
Yeah.
And, for years, Charlie, the party organizations have fought to get rid of the rhinos.
Yeah.
Well, David Pasco was the epitome of a rhino.
He'd be the definition.
Definition of a rhino.
Yeah.
So I don't think he was able to get past that. It surprised me with some of the party organizations around the state who align themselves with him. I mean, I don't recall local parties, even endorsing candidates. I don't think they should in races, but he had some county parties endorse him.
And that was one of the things I thought that was not done. I didn't think that county parties endorsed candidates in the primary.
Well, when Joey and I got involved in the Greenville County Republican Party, and we could have met in this room, in 1948 was it? You would never think of picking someone in a primary for mayor, county council, or governor. I mean, it was not done.
No, of course, back then we were begging people to run for, and
trying
so
to get people
we
to
didn't
follow.
have a lot of primaries then. But no, I mean, I don't think county parties should be endorsing any candidate.
Yeah.
Their job is to promote the candidates who are running on their ticket, and then when that's over, get the party together,
Consolidate.
and consolidate and win in November.
Yeah, absolutely. So, is there a state GOP rule against it or anything?
I don't
Isn't
know
there
that there
something in the
is.
party,
I mean, there's
bylaws or something?
If you talk with some of these local organizations who did this, they think it's a gray area. There was a lot of discussion about that, and if it's not a rule that is, I think it's probably going to be clarified at the next convention.
Yeah, probably so. So. Where are we looking at right now?
Well,
I mean,
I was just noticing some trends here, a few questions we kind of were asking amongst ourselves. For instance, this first congressional district race, as Charlie said, sometimes another race will drive up turnout and help a candidate who was doing well there 2 weeks ago.
right.
For instance, Alan Wilson did extremely well in Charleston 2 weeks ago. He got 33% to Evett's 24%. Tonight, it's the number one county in the state as for margin for Alan Wilson. His margin right now is 42 points. So if folks are coming out in Charleston, there appear to be Alan Wilson supporters who also are interested in the congressional race. The other question we had was, what is going to happen to some of these counties in the upstate that were all over the place? One of those was Anderson. Evatt had 26% and Wilson 22%. Wilson is up by 30. Again, this is early.
Yeah.
But Wilson is up by 35 points in Anderson. So I think Charleston is representative of Wilson's do-well territory. So it's nice to monitor that.
Right.
The other is Anderson, which was all over the place. That's another good county to monitor to sort of see where we are.
Looking at this District 8 race, Don Chapman against Sherry Hodges. Chapman has got 54, almost 55% now. Sherry Hodges, 45%. You know, people always talk about changing the way Columbia works. Well, you're not going to change the way Columbia works until you get rid of the people that work there. So is this going to be another incumbent that takes the night?
I think he probably will.
Yeah.
I was at a forum last week put on by the Anderson Republican Party, and this has been quite the race as well.
Yeah.
Very, very heated over there. But I could just sense in the room a lot of the volunteers and all there who seem to be falling in behind Don Chapman, Representative Chapman. You know, Sherry has really run a good campaign over there, but I think he probably ends up the winner tonight.
Yeah, and that's just one of those things where you go, I mean, is the devil you know better than the devil you don't know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
My guess, originally not knowing anything about the race, was if an incumbent has two challengers, that means a lot of people don't like you.
yeah.
But sometimes incumbents get challengers. Well, Neil Collins over in Easley.
Right.
Yeah.
So he always has an opponent. Sometimes he has two or three. Somehow he continues to survive. I'm not sure how that happens. But sometimes the incumbents attract a lot of opposition, but survive year after year.
Yeah.
Is it easier to remain an incumbent in a district like District 8 or something like that? Because you know everybody in the district just about. I mean, they're your friends. They're your neighbors.
Well, and you've helped the local school board.
Right.
You've helped
Yeah.
county council get some funds here and there. And so, you know, you have that history of literally being able to bring things to the district that your challenger has not. So I think that really puts you in with the advantage as well. But, I mean, it could change, but it looks
And particularly
like,
if you have a voting record that you can
Yeah.
use.
Mhm.
Well,
If
I
you have
mean,
bad votes,
Yeah,
and that everybody defines
Chapman,
those differently.
Here's
but-
Chapman with a 35 Freedom Index score, and people are like, "Yeah, but what Joey said, he got the school board this, and he
Yes.
got this happening." So it's like you wouldn't vote for anybody else or tell anybody else to vote for somebody with that lowest score, but your guy's good.
Right.
Your guy's
right,
fine.
Right. And the way he campaigned, I just took a look at his website last night. You would think he was to the right of Donald Trump and
Yeah.
and everybody on the way he
Sure,
campaigned. So he
sure.
certainly knew what messages to emphasize.
Yeah, all the hits there. So election night coverage continuing. Alan Wilson right now, according to what I have, what has he got? 65% right now for Alan Wilson.
65%, with 34.5 with Lieutenant Governor. Now, you know, we're getting some returns now from Richland County, his home area,
Yeah.
and in Richland, Alan Wilson was 73.3% there. You know, it won't take but a few of those. Charleston County, he's still at just over 70. You get a few of these big areas like that at 70%. She won more counties in the runoff.
She did.
She I forget the number, but she won the most counties.
Yeah.
Of all of them combined. But you got, you know, those smaller counties, you just don't have the numbers there.
Looking at that first congressional district race, they're now less than a point away. Jenny Costa Honeycutt and Mark Smith. That's a very close race right now.
How is Mark Sanford doing?
I have Mark down in the Low Country. He's always.
Yes.
He might be in Argentina.
Could be.
I think so.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
All right.
one county that has not been heard from, and they certainly were heard from in the Wheelwright Auditorium at Coastal Carolina, was Horry County. You know, Greenville County voted 57,000. Horry voted 40,000 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
I mean, quietly Horry County has become huge. But there was a 14,000 vote margin for Evett in Horry County. Now, if we do the math, I don't know that that's going to make up for Lexington and Richland and the trends here in the upstate, but that's a county that hasn't been heard from that was very, very pro Evett the first time.
That's the only county that a candidate received over 50% in the first round. But again, you got to have some big numbers to make up some of these early numbers that we're seeing from Alan Wilson right now.
Yeah, I mean this is pretty big. I mean, she's right now the only county I see her winning is Chesterfield, with 53% of the vote over Alan Wilson.
Yeah,
and Williamsburg, Pamela Evett 5 votes, Alan Wilson 3.
That's some voter turnout right
tight,
there.
It's tight down there.
That's some voter turnout right there. Hopefully that's going to grow throughout the night.
Right.
We don't want to see that. But a lot of people are saying, I went in to vote today and I was voter 50 out of 4,000, and that's a little disheartening.
Yeah,
it is.
It is.
So
now, one of the races though we haven't really mentioned it yet, and that's of course the Commissioner of Agriculture, and you had Danny Lee Ford really banking on his family name, and his dad's been pretty active the last week or so of this campaign.
His dad popped up on my show today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he
okay.
did. Yeah.
Well, his dad was at a forum that I was moderating on Friday, and so. But it appears in these early results, and again, we're just looking at 8.6%. But Cody Simpson has a pretty commanding lead so far.
Yeah. Speaking of this, NBC News, we don't have somebody on Facebook says NBC News is projecting Alan Wilson as the winner. Can you confirm this? I cannot confirm that right now.
I have the NBC News tab open here. They did.
They did.
They did.
Holy mackerel.
Sure
Alan Wilson wins the South Carolina primary. NBC News projection.
Wow. Here we are. Holy cow. We are 35 minutes into it, and they're projecting Alan Wilson winning this thing. That's pretty. So is this, you got to go back and wonder. Was it the endorsement from Donald Trump that really put him over the edge?
Well, I think that helped a lot.
Yeah.
And it also hurt the lieutenant governor.
Right.
And along with the other issues that we've been talking about, the fact that she had not named a lieutenant governor.
Yeah.
And then she named a number of options. I don't know that helped. It's almost like she chose geographically people around the state.
Right.
And
I frankly thought that was bizarre.
Yeah.
I thought it was somebody taking over her social media and done that for a joke. I thought it was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you saw, she came out of the gate really, really strong. Some of those early poll numbers, and I know that her campaign paid for them in some cases, but those were some really strong numbers. And then it just seemed like every week they just went down a little more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Was this more a pro Alan Wilson vote or an anti Pam Evett vote?
I think there was a good portion of an anti-Evett there because, again, I think probably some missteps that she took along the way. This race was, I'm going to say, Dr. Smith, was hers to lose initially because she had all the right players. She had the endorsement of the governor, the endorsement of the president for about how many days? But I think probably just some missteps.
Do you think she would have been better off distancing yourself somewhat from Governor McMaster?
I've had a lot of people comment on that, and I know you have too.
Yeah.
Our listeners.
That's why I don't have the Order of the Palmetto.
Yeah.
I've got the Order of the Palmetto bug.
By the way, Dr. Smith, we have been upstaged. Charlie is the recipient of the Order of the Palmetto bug. I think that is a step above Order of the Palmetto.
Well, the average Palmetto bug is larger than the Palmetto certificate that we receive.
True. That's true.
Uh-huh.
But should she have distanced herself from Henry McMaster?
you look at some of the polls, and Henry McMaster seems to be a popular governor. But you get within our listeners, he's not that popular.
Right.
And, I would get emails and text messages from our listeners all the time. Henry McTaxter. Why would you support Henry McTaxter? But, Dr. Smith, you may have your hands on some of the polling, but, I mean, polling statewide, he has been a pretty popular governor.
Yeah,
right?
the polling I've seen throughout his governorship, he was at the Trump level.
Yes.
He was really, really high. This is just a theory. I have no proof of it, but I'm not sure that the McMaster endorsement helps you. I don't think it hurts you.
Right.
I just don't think, because remember 2 years ago, we had the showdown between two lists of candidates, the Freedom Caucus list and the Republican Caucus list. And Republican Caucus were challenging Freedom Caucus were challenging Republican Caucus. The governor endorsed a lot of the regular Republicans.
Right.
Many of whom went on to lose. So I don't think the endorsement is all that helpful, but I don't think it's harmful. So I don't think it gave her the boost that she needed.
Yeah.
But I don't think it hurt her. I'm still scratching my head as to what exactly she did wrong, because she had so much momentum. And you even look at the wagering sites to see how far ahead she was a very short time ago in the perception of wagering folk. Just all of a sudden the bottom fell out.
Well, and the other issue that I kept hearing was she didn't go to all the debates.
Right.
That's and if you look on social media, that was a recurring theme. Is I don't know what she stands for because she didn't go to the debates. Now she missed the first one because, as you recall, there was a lot of controversy about that one, about the SCGOP charging some large numbers and all that eventually was worked out. But then she chose not to go to, I guess, the third one here in the Upstate at Wofford. But a lot of people, they were offended by that. They wanted to see her on the stage. They wanted to hear what she had to say. And
did that almost show a sense of entitlement? Like this is just mine, and I get to decide what I do?
I suspect, and Dr. Smith, love to get your input too. I suspect that her consultants were saying, well, you're the front runner. You don't necessarily need to debate.
Yeah.
Would that be a good consulting advice?
I advised her to debate.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the times that she was on my show, I've said you need to be in these debates.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, again, NBC News, is that CNN, JJ, that we were looking at? Fox News also declaring that Alan Wilson has won the runoff election against Pamela Evett. We'll talk more about that coming up. Is the runoff roundtable brought to you by Gosling Electric. We'll be right back as Charlie James along with Joey Hudson and Dr. Orrin Smith right here on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
You're listening to the South Carolina Runoff Roundtable, powered by Gosling Electrical Service, committed to serving our community on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas. listening to the South Carolina Runoff Roundtable, powered by Gosling Electrical Service, committed to serving our community on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
We continue our South Carolina Runoff Roundtable, brought to you by Gosling Electrical Service. With me, Charlie James, Dr. Orrin Smith of Palmetto Promise Institute. All right, guys, we have multiple news organizations, AP, NBC, Fox News, already calling this for Attorney General Alan Wilson. Dr. Smith, did you expect it this soon?
35 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, after the polls closed.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it this soon. I will give you my prognostication that I made earlier in the day, and that was that Wilson would win between 55% and 62%. He's currently at 63%, but Horry County's not in. So I think it may still be in that range that I was of my guess.
Maybe so.
But, something I always like to look at, this is extremely nerdy, but this is the kind of stuff Joey and I enjoy. When Nikki Haley ran for governor in 2010, remember who the candidates were? Andre Bauer,
Yes.
Henry McMaster,
Yes.
Gresham Barrett, and Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley finished first and was in a runoff with Gresham Barrett in 2010, and she really is the high watermark for a runoff. She won 65% over Gresham Barrett, which was a shock at that time.
Yes.
And that is roughly where Alan Wilson is. Right next to that was Ellen Weaver.
Really?
Ellen Weaver in the runoff with Kathy Maness won 64%. So historically, Governor Haley and Superintendent Weaver are the leaders in runoffs that are significant campaigns. Now, there were some runoffs where incumbents steamrolled other folks. But so Alan Wilson is in the same company with Nikki Haley, Ellen Weaver, and a few others in that high level.
Did it help him naming Mike Rickenbaugh so early in the campaign? I mean, if you're going to be impressed with somebody, you got to look at Mike Rickenbaugh. He makes me feel lazy in my life choices.
Yeah.
Well, it certainly did not hurt him.
Yeah.
And, I think having another person out on the campaign trail, you're able
That's
to
a good
cover
point.
more geography, more fundraising.
Yeah.
And what's not to like about the senator?
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a good guy. And so it certainly did not hurt the attorney general by naming him.
Well, and his wife is a tireless person as well.
Yeah.
So it's as if he got two running mates.
Yeah.
So you had lots of folks out there asking people for votes.
One of the we haven't talked much about the Commissioner of Agriculture, Cody Simpson. I got him at 61, almost 62% right now. This is one of those races where I initially, when we had all those guys running, and these are farmers, these are just salt of the earth people, I thought, I could see any of these guys winning and I'd be okay with it. But this has been a big night for Cody Simpson right now.
Let me just say it, if I may, one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be outstanding. He's going to be a humble yet knowledgeable servant of the people, and I'm very excited about his opportunity if these numbers hold.
And this is one of those, and that's one of those positions because we haven't had anybody really to run in this one for a long time. And now people are like, what exactly does the agricultural commissioner do? I think it really brought a lot of people to the table as far as the plight of the farmer here in South Carolina.
Well, that's a big agency. I mean,
it's huge.
It's not just farming; it's restaurants, and it really touches the consumer in a lot of different ways. This was a tight race after June 9th, but there's nothing close about it right now.
Yeah. I mean, Cody Simpson walked out. And, the Trump putting out that last video endorsing Cody Simpson again, it's just another one of those things.
And robocalls. I was at I was at Nana Hudson's house today, and her phone kept ringing 3 times while I was there, and it was a robocall of President Trump encouraging her to go vote for Cody Simpson.
Yeah. And
that's next level.
It is. Hey, when you can get Nana. So it seemed to me like Danny Ford jumped into the race a little late.
He did.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's never a good idea in my point of view.
But he made a good point. I heard him speak Friday, I guess it was, and his thing was that nobody thought he had a chance,
Right.
and he was in the runoff.
Yeah.
I know Danny Ford to a degree. I've known his dad. My wife's from Clemson, and a lot of our family know them. And it was just something you never actually, we never thought Lee Ford would run, because that's what most people know him as, is Lee Ford.
Yeah.
But he's done well. And I'll have to say, from the first time I heard him speak to the last time I heard him speak, he had his campaign speech. He really improved over those few months.
Yeah, that breakfast on Friday, I thought he got a really good response from the audience.
Yes.
It was really, really good.
I kind of wonder if his name had been Sweeney, how he would have done.
Well, it could have been Danny Lee Ford Sweeney.
Yeah, exactly right. So again, that's an interesting race. Looking down in the 1st Congressional District, that race is tight. Mark Smith versus Jenny Costa Honeycutt. But then again, when you look at the Democrats on that one, Mac DeFord is winning that race for the Democrats at 50%. But that's another one against Nancy LaCour. I mean, that's a pretty tight race for the Democrats down there. That's going to be an interesting race. I mean, right now, Republicans are outpacing the Democrats as far as showing up at the polls.
That's another statistic that we talked about 2 weeks ago, and it was kind of alarming for the primary 2 weeks ago. The Democrats voted 79% of the Republicans. 79%. The closest that I found in the past was 65%. So that's really significant, really tight. Not sure what's driving that exactly, but
could it be demographics?
Could be demographic. Could be some kind of a backlash.
Yeah.
With but maybe not a South Carolina issue. Maybe national issue. Could have been something to do with the redistricting.
Yeah,
plan,
that might be
something. Don't know, but 79% of the Republican turnout.
Well, let's talk about that redistricting real quick. Do you think that came back to bite Pamela Vett?
It did. I don't know that it was fair, but it did.
Yeah.
A lot of people felt like that. What I've heard over and over is that the governor, and because she was so closely aligned with the governor, the governor and the lieutenant governor did not deliver the redistricting for President Trump, so he withdrew basically. But you got to remember, the president knew that redistricting wasn't going to happen when he endorsed her.
Yeah.
The state senate had already shut that down by the time he endorsed her. So that wasn't a fair argument. But that's something that did because there was a perception out there.
She was tied to it.
That they didn't do their part.
Yeah. So that's just. I mean. So the stars just aligned for a bad night for Pamela Vett.
Yeah. Again, I can't put my finger on exactly one thing. It was just a mixture of things.
Is this one of those things that people like down in the Low Country, Gibbs Knots down there, and these political science professors, they're going to be digging into to try to find out exactly what happened with this campaign?
Oh, I think so. There'll be lots of journal articles written about somebody's going to get tenure over this.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So again, let's take a look at the Attorney General race. That's tightening up just a little bit right now. With what are we looking at? I don't have a
53.6 for Stumbo right now, with 46.4 with Senator Goldfinch. And again, the geographic that I spoke of earlier, you still have Goldfinch winning big in his Senate district in the lower part of the state, with 72% in Horry County, 62% in Florence. Georgetown, he's got 66%. But you come up to the upstate, and you got similar numbers for David Stumbo, leading Greenville, 63%, 64% over in Anderson. In Lawrence, 80% Stumbo. Of course, that's getting closer to his home county. 80% in Newberry, 87% in his home county of Greenwood. So those numbers, and again, I think we're probably going to see the only upstate county that Senator Goldfinch is doing well in is Cherokee County for some reason, where he leads with 55%.
That is interesting. And like I said, again, this is a guy that people are like, where'd he come from? And why is he there? Who put him there? Lots of interesting theories about that the establishment put him in there to protect him or to protect them. So everybody's talking about corruption. That was one thing that Pasco really hit on very hard in his campaign. Do you think that Stumbo's going to? I asked him on the show this afternoon. He said he's going to be looking at working with SLED on corruption as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he will. I mean, I think he's been a good prosecutor.
Yeah,
and he's just a great guy. He's a nice guy. I think he will do an excellent job. How much did the treasurer Curtis Loftus?
This is where my mind has been the whole time.
I mean, he's really been
right.
railing against the Senator Goldfinch. I mean, you see a lot of social media ads that or posts that the treasurer's put up saying that if elected, Stephen Goldfinch says he's coming after me.
I mean, he even claimed that Goldfinch threatened him.
Yes,
over the phone.
What kind of what effect has that had?
Curtis Loftus is extremely popular.
He
In
is.
fact, I was
Yeah.
just looking at some numbers today, and he won his race for state treasurer by upsetting a sitting treasurer.
Yeah.
And is extremely popular with the voters. Works social media very hard, has lots of followers. I think particularly in the Midlands and the Upstate, that could have been a significant factor, because if you watched any of the hearings, if you watched the trial on the floor of the Senate, Goldfinch was essentially the prosecutor.
Yeah.
I mean, Larry
Exactly.
Grooms, the senator from Berkeley, carried a lot of that water, but Goldfinch is a prosecutor, a military lawyer. He was the one who was making those points on the floor.
Yeah, that's interesting. You go against Loftus, and people just don't like that. I mean, he's charismatic, but he's also he's approachable, and like you said,
Folksy.
he's folksy.
Yeah,
exactly right.
That's a good way to describe him. Yes.
People like him. So, what are we looking at like voter turnout right now, Joey? How's everything going? I mean, this again, a runoff election. We're not expecting huge numbers like we did last time, unfortunately. But how are we standing right now?
Well, it's hard to tell right now because most of what we're seeing are showing percentages, and we're not. I don't see any totals with votes, and I can't add them that quickly in my head here. But it appears to me initially, just some of the counties that I'm familiar with, the turnout is not that great. You agree, Dr. Smith? I mean,
Well, I wish I knew more about the AP and other news outlets calculation for percentage of votes in.
yeah,
And by the way, I flunked the lowest level math course taught at Clemson University.
Oh, thank you.
So
but that's disappointing.
not an
I thought-
algebra.
I
not
thought,
an
I
algebra
thought you
guy.
were a math whiz.
No,
No,
not an
okay.
algebra guy.
That makes me
but
feel
I
so
will
much
say
better.
this. I will say
really-
this: if 68,000, let's say 70,000 votes total reported is 20%,
Yeah.
1/5. If you multiply that times 5, you're looking at significantly less or fewer votes than were cast in the original primary.
Exactly right. We'll be
Yeah.
right back with more Runoff Roundtable right here on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
You're listening to the South Carolina Runoff Roundtable, powered by Gosling Electrical Service, committed to serving our community on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Not just daily,
Real-time updates.
not just hourly.
A lot can change in the space of an hour.
We update you minute by minute.
To move so fast, you got to be up on it.
And now, live election night coverage. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
This is Runoff Roundtable, powered by Gosling Electrical Service, committed to serving our community. All the election results and analysis in one place. Here's Charlie James and Joey Hudson.
All right, welcome to the Runoff Roundtable. I am Charlie James, along with Joey Hudson and Dr. Orrin Smith, as we bring you the results of today's runoff election. 35 minutes after the polls closed, Attorney General Alan Wilson was named the winner of this runoff election. I mean, that was pretty quick. And I'm looking at some of these numbers here. I mean, he's in the 70s in a lot of these counties that he's won. Pamela Avett, looking at her victories right now, I believe she's won 3 counties.
Two of them tiny.
Yeah, exactly. But her margins are a lot lower than Alan Wilson's.
Yeah, and you look at some of these upstate counties, Pickens counties, for example, Wilson 74%, Greenville County 73%, Spartanburg County 71%, Oconee 66%, Anderson 69%, and then you go over into the Rock Hill area, because we were talking earlier about, well, where do Ralph Norman supporters go? Well, it appears they've gone to Alan Wilson, 62% in Rock Hill, 64% in Cherokee County, 69% in Chester County. Union County, 68. So those are big numbers.
What was your Greenville number again? Just curious.
Greenville, 73.3 for Wilson, 26.7 for the lieutenant governor.
So she was at 23 coming out of the primary, because there's always this notion of he or she in the primary just got all they're going to get. I did not believe that.
That's a good
about
point. Yeah.
Pamela Avett.
Yeah.
I thought she would build on her percentage.
Yeah.
But in essence, she's built 3% in Greenville County.
Yeah.
So she basically got all she was going to get the first time around.
So let's talk about, too, the power of those endorsements, because you're right. I mean, Ralph Norman endorsed her.
Josh Kimball
endorsed her. Nancy Mace endorsed her. I'm sorry, endorsed the Attorney General. So it looks like that, just with these early numbers, it looked like all of those other candidates, they all went to Wilson.
And remember, election night, what we all said, and that was, you wanted to be number 2.
Yeah,
you wanted to be number 2.
That's right.
And that was the Jim DeMint strategy. That was, I'm back to Ellen Weaver again, who got very high percentage. That was her. She was second. So the being second, there's something magic about it in South Carolina. I don't know why. And I don't know that it was the power of those individual endorsements. It was momentum. It sent the message to the voters that this candidate has momentum.
Right.
Is there a degree of, we love the underdog as well? I mean, he came in second. You like to tell the story of, well, he came from second to win.
Yeah.
Well, you want to be the perfect underdog. That is not too much.
And that was one of the things that Alan Wilson always said. He said, if I'm not your first choice, can I be your second?
Yeah, right. and I like that. He everywhere I heard him speak, he always said that. And it came across as genuine.
Yeah.
Hey, consider me. If you can't vote for me now, I hope you will next time.
Had a caller on the show today that said every time she saw Alan Wilson speak, he always asked for her vote.
Yeah, I could see that.
He didn't assume that she was going to give it to him. He asked her for it. Now, Joey, you said something very interesting during the break. You said this was a South Carolina election.
Yeah.
Tell everybody what you meant about that, because I believe you're absolutely right.
Well,
I'm curious what your on-air version of this is going to be.
Yeah.
Well, it is. And again, coming from someone who's lived here my entire life, you had that Ohio aspect to the lieutenant governor. And again, I like Pamela Avett. I think she's done a good job as lieutenant governor. She's done what a lieutenant governor is supposed to do. Defer to the governor.
Right.
I mean, and she's done some people were critical. Well, what has she done? Well, she's done what Henry asked her to do. I mean, and that's what you're supposed to do. But she is from Ohio.
Right.
And as much as I liked her, I've been concerned from day one that was going to be a factor as well, because you get people who've lived here their entire lives. Now, it came up in the debate, and of course, it was the last question.
She turned it. She flipped it.
She turned it magnificently, because the Attorney General brought it up, and he always brought it up, and she turned it around on him, and I thought, well, gosh, that was a great response. And you've seen some people online saying, well, I wasn't born here, so I guess he doesn't want my vote.
Yeah.
But obviously, a lot of people did not bother, and so they did. But it's a South Carolina race, and the Attorney General, his campaign team were pretty much South Carolina boys.
Right.
She had
they all sounded kind of like us.
They did.
Yeah.
They did, and she had a group of people that they were part of the Trump team.
Right.
But they weren't from South Carolina. Did that play a factor? I don't know.
Well, one factor I noticed, and I didn't realize we were going to be on video today. Where's the camera?
Yeah, it's right in front of you, right in front of your face.
Yeah, I can do my
there you go.
I can do my show and tell.
Yeah.
I briefly did some political consulting back in the day, and you always switched, no matter how negative your media was, you always switched to positive at the end.
Yeah.
Particularly if you had any chances you might be ahead. Have you noticed how sweet Alan Wilson's TV has been?
Yeah,
it's
with
the
his
family
kids.
stuff.
Yeah.
And then this postcard comes with Alan Wilson, soldier, public servant. So
right.
the end of the campaign for Wilson was turning to the positive. So the last thing you heard from the candidate was very positive.
Yeah.
Well, and again, these may not be paid for by the Evitt campaign.
Right.
These could be people that she doesn't even really know.
Yeah.
Just say that up front. But, who do you call a corrupt, self-dealing politician?
I call that
Alan Wilson.
the Tony Soprano flyer.
And then the double Tony Soprano here.
Yeah.
These hit really late.
Yeah.
You don't normally do this that late. You switch back to positive. So I'm just wondering if that might have backfired.
My wife does graphic design.
Yeah.
And I got a flyer. It was fairly early in the campaign from Alan Wilson. And I was looking at it, and I handed it to my wife, and I said, tell me what you see in this ad. And she said, there's a target over him. He was in, there were lines, lines going,
the crosshairs.
Yeah, and the crosshairs were over Alan Wilson. And she said, yeah, that's absolutely subliminal. Somebody that knew what they were doing posted that. And I thought that is very interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to one thing you said, Joey, Pamela Vett, when you meet her, she is one of the nicest people you will ever come across.
Yeah.
She is gracious. She is kind. She remembers you. When you talk to her, you're literally the only person in the room. And that I really admired about Pamela Vett. But I think a lot of people had questions about her as governor.
I do too. And I think you asked earlier, Dr. Smith, well, what changed? I don't know that
2 weeks.
I don't know if any one thing changed. I think it was just a combination of a lot of these things that were sort of, brewing in the background. The fact that she's from Ohio, the fact that, she did not really separate herself from Henry McMaster. And Alan always talked about, as far as her role as lieutenant governor, he would always talk about, she's out cutting ribbons, trying to really say she hadn't done anything.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that she has been probably one of the busiest lieutenant governors we've ever had. She was out there constantly, visiting with these businesses, being involved in recruiting business to come here. So, but it's the perception was that the job really wasn't a serious job.
Right.
And I think Alan Wilson did a magnificent job of painting that perception.
Do you think that's a little bit her fault for not doing all of these things behind the scenes? Should she have been more? Should she have had a better social media presence? Maybe. Hey, today I was in Horry and we brought a new business in or whatever. You think that would have been? Is she conceding right now, or is Alan Wilson?
I think Alan Wilson, he just took the stage a few minutes ago, declaring victory, I guess.
And it is one heck of a victory for Alan Wilson right now. I don't have the audio here just yet. So what are you saying, JJ? No, that's okay. So again, 35 minutes into this thing, Alan Wilson declared the winner. nothing short of a trouncing tonight. And right now is 65%. What was your prediction?
Yeah, I was guessing. Let's see, the range that I guessed was 55 to 62.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would go above
65.
62.
He's exceeding that. Yeah.
Night.
Yeah. We have a lot of other races. Of course, we're watching here. Some of the local ones. I was looking at this. We mentioned earlier the State House District 8. Don Chapman, Sherry Hodges. He seems to be pulling ahead a little more over there with presently 55% to her 45. Joe Dill has just pulled in. He had been trailing Travis Forrester in the Greenville County District 17 County Council race. Joe Dill just pulled ahead, 51.4 there. And then we have the Democrat primary in the Greenville County District 23, David Mitchell, 71 to Angela Akins, 29. Over in Spartanburg County, we had the race for the Spartanburg County chairman of county council, and William Crawford is easily winning that one with 68%. And then a couple other Spartanburg County races over there. Jason Say, 67, and that's a District 2. And then District 6, Alex Turner leading Jessica Coker with 56 to 43. So some of those local races, those returns are starting to come in.
Yeah, that's going to be a very interesting night. Again, you look at Joe Dill. I mean, just one of the nicest people you're ever going to meet in your life. I mean, just absolutely fantastic. So very interesting. But again, this is voter turnout. Do races like this further down the line, who gets hurt more by low voter turnout? Is it the big races, the governor's race, or is it those little? No races are little, but the smaller races. Do you think?
Well, I think the smaller races, particularly for county council and state house, which, in Greenville for many years, the districts were the same. The lines were virtually the same. Mm-hmm. You have the ability, if you're willing to do it, you can come up with how many votes you're going to need per precinct.
Yeah.
How many votes do I need in this precinct? You can get it down to that level. The governor's races,
right?
There may be some that try to do it. They can't really get down to that granular level. But if you're willing to put the shoe leather in, you can know which people you need to vote for you and work them.
And you said a couple of weeks ago that Josiah Magnuson, just an absolute master.
He is one of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. It is the Runoff Roundup right here on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
You're listening to the South Carolina Runoff Roundtable, powered by Gosling Electrical Service, committed to serving our community on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas. to the South Carolina Runoff Roundtable, powered by Gosling Electrical Service, committed to serving our community on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
All right, welcome back to the Runoff Roundtable. I'm Charlie James, along with Joey Hudson and Dr. Orrin Smith, as we bring you the election results tonight. Joey, we got another race called in this election pretty quickly. Tell us about the Commissioner of Agriculture.
Yes, Commissioner of Agriculture. That race has been called for Cody Simpson. Presently, he has 62.6% to Danny Ford's 37.4%. But that has been called by several different media outlets. And, you know, that now he had President Trump's endorsement as well, and he took full advantage of that because everything you saw about Cody Simpson, you had Donald Trump in there, too. In fact, that was one of his big things, was that the president called him and said, "Run, Cody, run," and that's what he did.
Yeah. And you know what? This is, and we've said it before, but this is just one of those races where just everybody was just salt of the earth.
Yes,
I mean,
it was.
We couldn't have made a bad decision, I don't think.
No,
in that race.
and you know, the interesting thing about this, we were talking about the negativity at times in campaigns, and boy, they've been nasty this year.
Which one?
Yeah, right.
Let me just tell you. Let me tell you the one that wasn't
not
as nasty though, and that was Commissioner of Agriculture.
Yeah,
I did several forums with these guys, all four of them, and they had sort of developed this camaraderie among themselves. I think they identified with one another as being farmers, but they would tell you, I mean, that they weren't, they didn't wish ill will towards any of them. Now it did get a little more dicey this past week in the runoff between Danny Ford and Cody Simpson, but nothing even close to some of these other races. You know, they, as you said, any one of the four would have been good for this job.
Yeah.
They were all farmers. I think they all were running for the right reason.
Yeah. And I said it today on the show. I wish farmers would run for every seat.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
We'd be in a lot better shape if that happened.
Very Jeffersonian of you.
Yes, exactly. Let's talk about that Spartanburg County Council, William Crawford against Mike Stacey. This is another Democrat turned Republican in Mike Stacey. A lot of negative Trump social media posts and things like that came up. I mean, that was kind of an interesting thing, but pulling in 31% of the vote right now.
Yep. Well, William Crawford has, I would have given him the edge on this one from day one.
Yeah.
He's expected him to avoid a runoff, actually.
Well, I did too. If anyone could have won that one on the first round, it would have been William Crawford. He's been involved in conservative circles, Republican politics for many years, and he's a stand-up guy. He's a business guy. He has a good head on his shoulders, and you're right. I expected him to win that one outright in the first round, but it doesn't surprise me that he's doing so well today.
So when 2 weeks ago I asked you, Dr. Smith.
He remembers.
I do. I asked you, I said, do you hold some money back in expectation for a runoff, or do you do what Lee Bright did in his last race, just throw everything out there and try to win the general or the primary outright?
I think when you have a multiple candidate primary, like we did, it's easier to hold a little bit back, because if you're second or third, probably doesn't matter quite that much.
Yeah.
But you've got to be in the final two. So that's the tough part. If it were a free-for-all where you had to run the same four ran again 2 weeks later. But if you're in danger, of not making the runoff, then you've got to do all you can do. But if you think you're going to make the runoff, it's just a matter of how solidly.
Yeah.
You need to hold a little back. Of course, it creates a new cycle. So you're able to go back to some of these folks who maybe didn't max out originally.
Right.
That would be your short list. Somebody gave me $1,000. Well, I'm very happy for that $1,000, but take a look at what the max is and ask them for the difference for the runoff.
Yeah.
That's pretty easy to do.
Do you go back to the donors and say, hey?
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, you may just stay on the phone all night, election night.
Exactly right.
Yeah, because that is a balancing act. I mean, because when you're running the campaign and you feel like things are so close on that first ballot, you have a tendency to want to go ahead and spend
Yeah.
to try to wipe it out so you don't have that runoff. But if you do that and you are in the runoff, you got to come up with some money quickly because that's a whole new campaign.
Right, right. And sometimes that's when some candidates overextend. They start to borrow.
Yes.
Of course, I'm not sure how much Ralph Norman lent his campaign for governor.
Right.
Some of the candidates did, of course, not to the level of what was the candidate for governor in Georgia, what he donated to his own campaign. But that's where I've just seen a lot of politicians who are just trying to get in the runoff, and they maybe overextend, and they don't make the runoff, and they're in huge debt.
Well, Ron Reddy spent a tremendous amount of money. You got to look at the money that Mark Lynch put out in his campaign. So if you are a consultant, let's say you're Pamela Vett's consultant right now, is there some kind of a post-mortem that you do? Do you sit down with your candidate and say, listen, this is where we fail? What do you do? I mean, do you just pack up your stakes and leave town? What?
Well, it depends. We're back to what Joey said. I won't reveal what he said during the break, but we're back to the whole point of people whose homes, their office addresses are very well known. They're in probably Columbia or Greenville or Spartanburg.
Right.
They've got to keep doing political campaigns year after year. That's their profession. And if they live in South Carolina, they can't pick up and move.
Yeah.
They've got to keep earning business based on their performance. Some of the other consultants that are national or maybe there's a mixture of local and national consultants, then the national consultants may just disappear, and they're on to Nebraska or Iowa or wherever the next campaign is. But the local South Carolina consultants, they are homegrown. Yeah, as a friend of mine in policy world said, we grew here and they flew here.
Yeah. Well, and that's a tough time, and I've been in that situation over the years as well. Having been involved in a campaign, a losing campaign, there's still work to be done tomorrow and over the next few weeks because you got to close it down. You got to
file your final reports.
And that's a tough time. That's a tough position to be in because you failed.
Yeah.
But you still got to wrap things up. And as Dr. Smith just said, if you're a state consultant, it's going to be hard to find another job if you've just come off of a loss, and especially as people over the next few weeks, if they start sort of quarterbacking this and trying to pick it apart, what did we do wrong? That really it's going to be hard to find a job.
How personally do the candidates take this?
Pretty personal. I mean that's it's a you put your whole life into this.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all they've been doing for months now. It's a big letdown when you don't come out on top.
Absolutely. I mean, David Stumbo was in the hospital on Saturday. Yeah. I mean, it's a grueling thing to be out on the campaign trail. I mean, just in the state of South Carolina, I couldn't even imagine nationally. But it's a grueling task to get out there and run for office.
And I heard your speculation on what was going on with David. Did you ever you had him on the show?
I had
him
on the show.
So what did he say? I mean, just exhaustion.
He didn't go into details, but that's you can get dehydrated, you can get just overly tired and wear yourself out.
Oh yeah, easy because they're getting up early in the morning, staying up late at night. They're doing a lot of I mean, it's not unusual for Stumbo or any of these statewide candidates to wake up in Charleston County and end up in Greenville County.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy thing to do. So again, Cody Simpson winning this. He's picking up 90,423 votes. Danny Ford at 53. This race has been called. He's got 62.8% of the vote. Still looking at some of these other ones. Joe Dill. Let me refresh this screen here. Joe Dill is still leading Travis Forrester 51.4 to 48.6 over there in District 17. Sherry Hodges 46 to 53, losing that right. Well, she's behind Don Chapman right now. So so let's now look at what happens between now and November. What do these people start doing?
Well, and that's a good question too, because how serious do they take the November elections? You have to, but to a degree, you look at this geographically. South Carolina should be a red state, but what does Alan Wilson do now? He starts raising money because he's still going to have to spend a lot of money. I'm hearing a lot of positive things about this Democrat candidate. We haven't had a Democrat governor since when, Dr. Smith? Jim Hodges.
Jim Hodges
was, and that was a fluke.
David Beasley because of video poker and the Confederate flag.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, we had upstate business person Fred Collins, who single-handedly almost defeated David Beasley.
Yeah, he had jukeboxes.
Yeah, he had jukeboxes. He had poker machines around, and when Governor Beasley was successful in eliminating poker machines, it pretty much put him out of business in South Carolina, and he spent a boatload of money to beat Beasley.
Yeah, Beasley was elected in '94, succeeding Campbell, who was the upstate guy, and then he lost re-election in '98 because of really it was a mixture of the video poker and calling for the removal of the Confederate flag in his first term.
Yes. Well, the whole campaign was ban Beasley, if you'll remember, and spent a lot of money. They had this voiceover guy who produced the radio commercials, and people started. He had such a unique voice, and the spots were they were funny actually.
Yeah.
Well, the TV version was even worse.
Even yes,
because he was talking about the fact that Georgia had a lottery.
Yes.
And David Beasley was militantly against all forms of gambling, so he was against the state education lottery. So this fake convenience store clerk from Georgia becomes the celebrity of the actor in the commercial, becomes the celebrity of the campaign, and he always ended the commercial the same way. Georgia loves David Beasley.
Well, that's just brilliant campaign strategy right there.
Yeah.
It really was. So where are we right now? How are we looking on these returns? Again, we got Alan Wilson. That was called 35 minutes into the night. Cody Simpson, that's now been called. Let's take a look at the looking down in the – all right, Jenny Costa Honeycutt is now pulled ahead of Mark Smith down in the 1st Congressional District. How are we looking on the Attorney General race?
The Attorney General, we still David Stumbo leading with 53.9%. He's got some pretty big wins in these upstate counties. Lawrence County, 77%. Wow. Newberry County, 80%. Greenwood County, 87%. 73 in McCormick. Anderson County, 65. Some big numbers in these upstate counties. Now, if you go to the lower part of the state from his Senator Goldfinch's home area in his Senate district, he's not getting those types of numbers.
No.
In those 54% in Darlington, 51% in Lee, 64 in Florence, 67 in Georgetown. But those are good numbers. But if you look at the map, you've got this little green area which represents what Stephen Goldfinch is getting in that part of the state. Everything else is red across the state.
Yeah,
which is Stumbo.
It is Stumbo. I mean, you look it over at Horry, that's his best county right now, 72%. But he's just not matching what Stumbo's doing across the rest of the state. So that's very interesting. That's how long do you think it's going to be? I mean, he's at 54%. Where do they have to be usually at this point of the night before they start calling these races?
Yeah, at what number, Dr. Smith?
Yeah, usually it's some kind of a sampling procedure where they figure out which precincts they need to sample. Yeah. In the old days, when the votes were counted at the precinct level, there was a number for you to dial, and you would call into the Associated Press and give a sneak peek at the number. But now they just have to go to the election office and read what's posted. But usually it's based on a sophisticated sampling technique that gives you an accurate percentage or attempts to.
Yeah.
So where are we now? Right now. So again, I mean, basically, how's that Joe Dill race? That's one I really want to keep an eye on tonight.
Joe's still leading with just over 51%, and let's see what that is with 43% reporting. So race like that, it could depend on a big precinct somewhere.
Yeah.
But Joe Dill, as you mentioned earlier, he's just a likable guy. Joe Deal has served that northern part of Greenville County for years. He served on the school board. He served on Greenville County Council before being defeated, I guess, 4 years ago. He's just been out one term, I believe. Joey Russo defeated him. So everybody knows Joe Deal. And I think everybody was stunned that he lost 4 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
And there's to a degree people saying, well, you know, we want Joe back. And so it'll surprise me if he loses that. I think Joe Deal probably.
What were the issues, do you think, in this race? Because I don't think any Republican candidate is even moderate in the county council races.
You know, the one time that I heard the four of them together, the biggest issue was roads.
Yeah.
And of course that is a big issue around the state, but that was the biggest issue. They all talked about, you know, what are we going to do about our roads? We need our roads. And of course, you know, Greenville County's talking about another penny or so for roads. And I don't think Joe Deal, if Joe Deal's on that council, I don't think he's going to be voting for anything else, any additional taxes for roads.
Yeah. I mean, that's that constant that if they did fix the roads miraculously, what would politicians in South Carolina have to run on? Right? what would their slogans be?
Right. Kill the income tax, build the roads.
Yeah.
Yes,
All right. Let's talk about that. Everybody was talking about killing the income tax. How do we do that? And then how do we move on to the property tax? Because that's the next one, the next domino to fall, I think.
Well, if you do both of those, I think the sales tax will be 25%.
Yeah. It would have to be.
Every policy organization and has their opinion about this. But to me, and this is unorthodox, or it's at least not popular, it's orthodox but not popular, is that you need a little bit of each to keep the three-legged stool in place.
Right.
So that the economy does weird stuff. You're not dependent on one or the other. I can understand the need to go to a 0% tax, but a 0% income tax and a 0% residential property tax, I don't think there's any plan available that could do that without raising the sales tax to some astronomical level, particularly when we've got some really screwy taxes on business that's hurting us with attracting industrial businesses. So we've got to address that. So it's going to take a little bit of wizardry and a lot of calculations. And fortunately, we have people that can do that and advise us. So I'm hoping General, soon-to-be Governor perhaps, Wilson will bring in some of those folks and craft a good, solid plan that literally predicts income and bases all of this on a sophisticated analysis as opposed to just sort of political promises.
And if I remember correctly, though, Attorney General Wilson, of all the candidates running, when you asked that question, he seemed to have the longest point of time before he felt like we could totally eliminate the income tax.
Yeah.
I mean, the lieutenant governor was saying, I'll do it immediately.
100 days.
In the first 100 days.
Yeah.
The other night, he talked about this 3 to 5 year plan. But you know,
I was very impressed with General Wilson for putting it in those terms.
Yeah.
Because the natural thing to do to get votes, well, the other natural things to do to get votes is say that you're for gambling.
Yeah.
And you'll just let the people vote. I'm beginning to think that particularly with the Christian conservative groups, that was a factor here in the last couple of
we haven't really even talked about that issue.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, let's
I think
talk
that
about
kicked
it.
in.
Let's talk about it when we get back. This is the Runoff Roundtable. I'm Charlie James along with Joey Hudson and Dr. Orrin Smith. We'll be right back on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
You're listening to the South Carolina Runoff Roundtable, powered by Gosling Electrical Service, committed to serving our community on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas. listening to the South Carolina Runoff Roundtable, powered by Gosling Electrical Service, committed to serving our community on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
All right, welcome back to the Runoff Roundtable. I'm Charlie James along with Joey Hudson, Dr. Orrin Smith, as we wind down the runoff election of 2026. Like we told you, 35 minutes into this race, Alan Wilson was determined to be the next governor candidate for the GOP. And ultimately, I mean, that would have to be a pretty big surprise for the Democrats to come in and pull some sort of an upset in November, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah. If you just look at our state overall, it would be a big surprise. I don't know that it's possible. I think I'm going to probably say it's not possible.
Yeah. So he will be the next governor of
yes,
South Carolina.
yes.
And that's, historically so. We were just talking about
yeah.
Hodges, but there were a lot of factors involving Beasley to allow
Yes.
that to happen.
The swing voters,
Yeah.
of course, in South Carolina, swing voters are most likely Republican voters as well. But the swing voters went away from Beasley and toward Hodges that year because of all those weird factors that were in play.
And you just don't have. I mean, Alan Wilson would have to just do something really stupid. To screw this one up. So,
have there really been any surprises tonight? I think the margin for me, Alan Wilson over Pam Vivette, that was surprising. I thought maybe that I know your predictions, Dr. Smith, but I thought it was going to be a little tighter race than that.
Yeah. I think when it feels like the ground is shifting toward one candidate,
And it
I
did.
tend to say, let's not go with that.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at what the reality is. The reality is it's very tight. So that's why I was in that 55 to 62. I am surprised it's more than 62.
Yeah.
Really surprised.
Yeah.
At least at this point.
I am too. I mean, I never thought, and they both were saying that. Well, Alan Wilson told me on Friday that his internal polling was very good.
Yeah.
I mean, he is very confident
Right.
that he was going to win, and he said big. He didn't give me any specific numbers, but the lieutenant governor, she seemed to think that she was still in the race. That it was going to be a close race. But this is I would have never bet, and I don't wager, Dr. Smith,
Right,
but I would have
right.
never wagered that it would have been this decisive.
So, and you said that she felt like she was still in the race. Do you think truly she did?
Well, she sounded convincing.
Yeah.
And here's what her strategy was. She talked about voter turnout, and she felt like she had a good organization she had identified those folks who had voted for her in the first round, and she felt like she had the infrastructure to turn them out again.
Right.
And she was putting a lot into Horry County. Now, you may recall, first round, she was up here in the Upstate for election night. She is in Horry County tonight because she was counting on them to come through in a big way. And they have come through for her, but not big enough. There's just not enough numbers there, considering that she's lost most of the Upstate as well.
Yeah, I mean, she's coming in right now with only 3 counties. The only county we don't have anything on, or do we? I'm looking out at Jasper County, nothing there. I don't know what they're.
Well, Jasper, we need to investigate Jasper.
Absolutely.
Because you may recall when we wrapped things up on June the 9th, Jasper still had not come in.
Right.
Yeah, Jasper's an unusual place because it was just like nothing going on in Jasper. Now it's one of the fastest growing counties in the country.
Yeah.
Just because of the growth. We've been looking at very few South Carolina House races. The one in Anderson we spoke of, Hodges and Chapman.
Right.
I've just received word from a very highly placed source that Chapman will be reelected.
Yeah.
If that is the case, then it looks like the only incumbent to lose in the primary or the runoffs will be Luke Rankin from that seat in not
Lawrence.
the senator, but
right.
the House member in Lawrence County. He would be
Yeah.
the only incumbent to lose. The other 2 races in play are down in the Low Country, District 99. That's Mark Smith's seat.
Yeah.
The seat he's leaving to run for Congress, and a pretty tight race there. And then another district, District 96, also went to a runoff. But really, those are the only runoffs. We have no Senate up this time, so pretty quiet night as far as the House of Representatives.
Yeah, and speaking of Mark Smith, if you look at the first congressional district, right now it looks like he is going to lose that based on what we know at this point.
Yeah.
Jenny Costa-Honeycutt with 52.8% of the vote. If that continues to trend in that direction, she's going to be the next congresswoman from the first district.
Well, depending on if she wins that the general coming up in November.
True.
Democrats, again, knowing the demographics of the Low Country, knowing how, and even, Nancy Mace, I was talking with somebody a few weeks ago when I was down in Charleston. They were like, Nancy knows that district is turning purple.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's going to be a coin flip, really.
So who are the Democrat candidates? Do they have a run? Do they have a runoff in the first district tonight as well?
Retired admiral.
Yes.
Right.
And the candidate that was also a veteran who ran
there it is,
4 years ago.
Nancy LaCour and Mac
She's
DeFore.
a retired admiral, and he ran either 2 years ago or 4 years ago.
So right now, LaCour is winning that runoff.
Yes, by about the same margin. So we could have two female candidates facing off in the general election.
That's going to be very interesting to watch and this is where maybe that whole redistricting thing actually not redistricting comes back to bite us. Mm-hmm. Because if we could have gotten rid of that one of the 6th and redistricted that, we could have two Democrat congressmen congresspeople from South Carolina.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Now there was the argument too, though, that by the map that we saw, some were arguing that it might make it easier to lose those two seats in the Low Country. I don't know. I didn't have enough time to really dig into the map.
And we didn't have a full set of data because so many folks have moved into South Carolina. We didn't really have the access to that data to know exactly how that played into those cases. But, yes, that first district, I remember when the state Senate was up, it was in 2020, when the state Senate was up, the whole Senate was up at the same time.
Yeah.
There were Republican senators that were already trying to decide if they lost how their area would maintain some support on the Finance Committee. There were 3 Republican senators that I think they were already making plans to pack up their offices because they thought the whole Low Country was going purple, and then they all won, and they've been reelected since. But that's it's still a concern. Now, one of the districts that was held by a Democrat is hotly contested now, and the Republican Party in the Low Country, it thinks they may be able to pick up a seat in the Low Country. So we'll see about that, but that'll be a general election.
Yeah.
Have a bit of breaking news at the Attorney General's race. David Stumbo has now been called the winner.
All right.
In the Attorney, so that wraps up those 3 statewide races.
3
that we've been watching.
officers, right?
Yes.
So that's interesting. So is the big story tomorrow going to be Alan Wilson wins, or is it going to be Pamela Vett folds? Now, we know what the general voter is going to think, but what about the people in the political world? What are their headlines going to be tomorrow morning?
I think it's going to be Alan Wilson won after Pamela Evett folded.
You're exactly right. End of it. I don't know what that means.
Some of the blogs, it's whatever the advertisers want it to say.
Yeah, exactly right. But again, somebody's going to have to. That's right. It is the end of McMaster. End of McMaster what? Era.
Yes.
End of the, and it is. It's the end of the McMaster era.
Longest serving governor of South Carolina, 10 years,
right.
just based on the way he became governor. And that if you think about that too, and it's never been confirmed, but I've always thought that he and Donald Trump got together and got a deal. I would envision the conversation going something like, well, Henry, what can I do for you? He said, well, I don't need a position, but I need for you to get Nikki Haley out of the governor's mansion.
Right.
What can you give her so that I can move into the governor's mansion?
Well, or she could have said, what position can I take? And then it became convenient. So,
Well, Henry was the first elected official to come out and endorse Donald Trump.
Yes. And
so it was a little bit of a payback there. And he wanted to be governor
Since he was in kindergarten.
So bad.
Since
just his whole life, that's all he wanted.
And I think Nikki Haley wanted to be something else other than governor.
Yeah, she always had higher aspirations than that. But there you go. That's politics. But this has just been it's been an interesting night. I don't think it's been a surprising night in a lot of ways.
Just the margin.
Yeah, the margin.
I kind of thought Cody Simpson would pull it out because of Joey's mother getting calls 3 times.
Right.
Yes.
Nana Hudson.
Yes. Nana called that one at about 2:00 this afternoon.
You got that's the new earmark you got to go for, the Nana Hudson vote to get that going on. Did Trump know something? Did Trump know? I mean, that's a good question. Did Trump know? Was this one of those things that he said, I'm going to get it and I'm going to endorse and save face here, maybe?
Well, the story that I've been told, and wonder if you've heard anything as well, Dr. Smith, the story I've been told was that the Wilson campaign team had been pressing the White House very, very strongly for weeks, and that they had been supplying them with some of these polling numbers that they had, that basically saying, hey, you called the wrong candidate here. You should have been endorsing me to begin with. But, you think about this, and this is where Mike Gallagher and I, we kind of went back and forth because I kept telling Gallagher, no way Donald Trump was pushed in to doing anything. But that's the story that I hear, was that the Wilson campaign was really pushing hard for him to make that co-endorsement.
And there's also the rumor that, this is a little bit of a retribution for not redistricting and, not going along with the one big, beautiful bill here in South Carolina.
Well, and his candidate lost in Georgia. He didn't want 2 in a row.
He's a little sensitive.
Yeah.
And one thing about Donald Trump is he is obsessed with polling.
Yeah.
Particularly if it's an issue he thinks he owns or a candidate he wants to consider endorsing.
Yeah. So, well, it has been an interesting night. Alan Wilson will be the next governor of South Carolina. Cody Simpson will be the agricultural commissioner. And, of course, we've got David Stumbo as Attorney General. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, on the Runoff Roundtable. For Dr. Orrin Smith, for Joey Hudson, I'm Charlie James. Thank you so much for tuning in. News Talk 98.9 WORT.